It happens in an instant. You see her across the room, or on a glowing screen, or in passing, just long enough for your eyes to catch hers, and something ancient stirs inside you. Your chest tightens. Your focus narrows. The world blurs, and she becomes the only thing that exists. This is the spell of the beautiful. It feels like destiny. It feels like truth. But Plato, the philosopher who built an entire system of thought around truth, saw it as something far more dangerous. To Plato, beauty wasn't harmless. It was power. A force that could awaken a man's soul or enslave it completely. The power of the good has taken refuge in the nature of the beautiful. Plato. He knew beauty was more than pleasing symmetry. It was a summons, a call from deep within your nature. But that call could either guide you upward toward what he called the form of beauty, the eternal, perfect source from which all beauty flows, or it could trap you in a cycle of lust, envy, and possession. Most men, Plato warned, never move beyond the first shock of beauty. They become fixated. They mistake the appearance for the essence. And in doing so, they surrender their will. Like moths circling a flame, they confuse attraction with purpose and burn for it. Plato didn't deny the intoxicating pull of beauty. He acknowledged it as one of the most compelling forces in human life. But he also saw the danger. When beauty grips the senses, it can blind the intellect. It can keep you locked in admiration of the surface, while the deeper truth, the thing beauty is meant to point to, remains hidden. And so, the first danger is not that beauty deceives you, but that it seduces you into stopping your journey before it's even begun. Plato never told men to avoid beauty. He told them to climb it. In the Symposium, he gives us the image of the ladder of love, a path that begins with the desire for a single beautiful body and ends with the contemplation of pure truth itself. But most men never take even the second step. The ladder begins here. You see someone physically beautiful, and you're drawn in. This is the first rung, the most primal, and the most dangerous. It's the entry point to the soul's awakening, but it's also where many remain trapped. The second rung. You begin to see that physical beauty is not unique to one person. It exists in many. This realization can free you from obsession, but only if you keep climbing. Next comes the recognition of inner beauty, the virtues, the intelligence, the character that make a soul radiant. Here, the heart shifts from possession to appreciation. Higher still, you begin to love beauty in all forms, in laws, in ideas, in acts of justice. You see beauty not as skin deep, but as truth deep. And at the top, the form of beauty, eternal, unchanging, beyond flesh and time. To stand here is to love beauty, not for what it does to you, but for what it is. He who has been instructed thus far in the things of love, and who has learned to see the beautiful in due order and succession, will suddenly perceive a nature of wondrous beauty, not growing and decaying, not waxing and waning. Plato. But here lies the danger. Most men never move beyond the first rung. They remain prisoners of the senses, convinced that beauty's highest purpose is possession. Plato's warning was clear. If you stop climbing, the same ladder that could have lifted you to truth will keep you chained to desire. Imagine you've spent your whole life in a dark cave. On the wall in front of you, flickering shadows dance, shapes and movements that seem real because they're all you've ever known. This is Plato's allegory of the cave, and for him, beauty in the physical world is much like those shadows, a mere reflection of a deeper, perfect reality. He called that reality the form of beauty, eternal, flawless, unchanging. Everything beautiful you see here is only a dim echo of it. But here's the danger. Most men take the shadow for the source. They see a beautiful woman and believe she is beauty itself. They believe the perfection they feel in her presence is contained within her skin, her hair, her smile. And so they cling. They chase. They fear losing her, as if losing her means losing beauty altogether. The sight of beauty in the body is a sight of the shadow, not the thing itself. Plato understood the seduction of the shadow. The senses are powerful. They make the reflection feel more real than the idea. But when you mistake the copy for the original, you condemn yourself to endless grasping, never satisfied, because the form you seek cannot be possessed in flesh. This confusion explains why men often find that even after attaining the beauty they desire, the thrill fades. They've captured the shadow, but the source remains untouched. To see the form is to understand that all earthly beauty points beyond itself. It is an invitation, not a possession. A signpost, not a home. The choice is yours. Stay in the cave and worship the shadow, or turn toward the light and seek the source. When you stop at the shadow, you don't just admire beauty, you begin to worship it. This is the descent into idolatry. Plato saw this as one of the greatest dangers a man could face, mistaking the image of beauty for the highest good. Because once beauty becomes your god, you will sacrifice almost anything to keep it. History is littered with the wreckage of men destroyed by this worship. Consider Paris of Troy, who, enchanted by Helen's beauty, abandoned reason, loyalty, and even the safety of his kingdom. That single fixation sparked a war that burned for 10 years and toppled an empire. Plato would say Paris wasn't destroyed by Helen herself, but by his inability to see beyond her surface. Her beauty became his absolute truth, and in serving it, he lost himself. Beauty is the bait which with delight allures man to enlarge his kind. Plato. Here, beauty shifts from inspiration to tyranny. It dictates your choices. It governs your moods. It decides your worth. Idolatry of beauty doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, the man who shapes his entire life, career, or personality to attract or keep a beautiful partner. Sometimes it's digital, the endless scrolling, the fixation on curated faces and bodies that exist more as symbols than as people. Plato's warning is clear. When beauty is divorced from truth, it corrupts the soul. It promises fulfillment, but delivers emptiness, because the hunger it awakens can never be satisfied at the level of the senses. The more you worship the shadow, the further you drift from the source. If Plato warned about shadows on a cave wall, what would he say about your phone? The ancient cave had flickers of firelight. Ours glows with LED screens, pumping an endless stream of curated faces, Flawless bodies and manufactured moments, all designed to hold your gaze. This is the new age of beauty's illusion, and the algorithm is the modern-day puppeteer, deciding which shadows you'll see and how often you'll see them. On Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, beauty is no longer rare. It's infinite, on demand, and exaggerated beyond nature. Filters refine every imperfection. Angles are perfected. Lighting turns skin into marble. And just like the prisoners in Plato's cave, we stare, believing we're seeing reality, when in truth, we're seeing representations of representations. If Helen of Troy could launch 1,000 ships, what could 1 billion Helens on 1 billion screens do to the modern man's mind? The cost is more than wasted time. It's the erosion of perception. Comparison. You begin to judge the women in your real life by the impossible standards of the digital shadow world. Insecurity. You measure your worth against what seems to attract that kind of beauty. Objectification. Beauty becomes a consumable product, stripped of context, depth, and humanity. In Plato's terms, this is being buried in the cave, not just watching shadows, but living for them. The danger isn't that beauty exists. The danger is that you can now consume it endlessly, without ever confronting the truth it points toward. We are, in many ways, more captive than the men of Plato's time, because the cave is now in our pocket, and we carry it everywhere. Plato never told men to turn their backs on beauty. He told them to follow it, but not stop halfway. Beauty, in his philosophy, is a signal flare, a glimpse of something higher, a reminder that perfection exists beyond the senses. But if you cling to the physical form, you trap yourself in the lowest rung of what he called the ladder of love. Climbing beyond means asking a dangerous question. What is this beauty trying to show me? It's a shift from possession to perception. Instead of thinking, I want her because she's beautiful, you begin to think, she is beautiful because she reflects something eternal. That change alters everything. The impulse to own becomes the desire to understand. The hunger to consume becomes the will to create. And the fear of losing beauty is replaced by gratitude for having witnessed it. The sight of beauty is the revelation of truth. Plato. To climb beyond, you must train the mind to see beauty in many forms, in acts of courage, in the structure of an idea, in the symmetry of justice, in the discipline that shapes a man's life. This doesn't mean rejecting physical beauty. It means letting it serve as a doorway, not a prison. Admire without obsession. See the character before the curves. Let beauty deepen your mind, not narrow it. The man who climbs beyond doesn't lose interest in beauty. He simply refuses to stop at the shadow. He uses it as a compass, moving toward the source. And once you've tasted the source, no mere reflection can enslave you again. When you've climbed beyond the shadow, beauty changes its meaning. It's no longer a trap. It's no longer a test. It becomes a guidepost, something that points you toward truth without chaining you to desire. This is the new vision of beauty. You can now look at a beautiful face or a perfect form and feel admiration without hunger. You can appreciate without scheming to possess. You can see her or it not as the source of your fulfillment, but as a reflection of something far greater, He who loves the beautiful for itself will not seek to own it, but to live in harmony with it. Plato. This is where power returns to the man. Because now, beauty is no longer your master. You are free to choose what you give your energy to, instead of being pulled like a tide by what your senses demand. The new vision means seeing beauty everywhere. In a disciplined body, yes, but also in a disciplined mind. In the symmetry of a well-lived day. In the courage to speak truth. In the stillness of integrity. Plato's wisdom was never to shame desire, but to elevate it. To use the pull of beauty as a rope leading you upward, not a chain dragging you down. Like Odysseus sailing past the sirens, you hear the song, but you don't steer toward the rocks. You stay your course. You move toward your destination. Because now you know, beauty is not the destination. It is the sign pointing you home. Now you see beauty for what it truly is and for what it is not. It is not the source of your worth. It is not the prize that will complete you. It is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning. Every face, every form, every scene that has ever stopped you in your tracks, they were not destinations. They were invitations. Whispers from the eternal saying, there is more. Follow me upward. The beauty of the body is a mere shadow. The beauty of the soul is the true and lasting form. The danger has always been stopping at the shadow, worshiping it, chasing it, believing it can give you what only the source can. Now you know better. You can walk through a world overflowing with beauty without being owned by it. You can see the surface without mistaking it for the depth. You can admire without clinging, appreciate without needing. This isn't detachment born of cynicism. It's clarity born of truth. Because the man who sees beauty clearly is free. Free to choose. Free to love. Free to keep climbing toward the highest rung. And that freedom is the true reward. So remember, the shadow is not the source. The form is not the possession. The beauty before you is the echo of something eternal. Like, share, subscribe. Don't scroll past this. Another man needs to see beyond the shadow. This isn't content. It's a digital rite of passage, and you've just taken another step up the ladder.